Greetings and welcome to another detailed paranormal production. Today we provide the paranormal details of 5 cases, in some of which spirits offer advice or warnings to the living. In another, researchers ostensibly create an entity under rigorous conditions. And finally, a poltergeist torments a little girl and her family. Case number 1, The Harbinger. Location, London, England, private residence. Period, late 1800s. Recorded by Society for Psychical Research, SPR. A woman is preparing for a routine journey. This is a planned departure by train. Her belongings are already packed. Coat laid out, travel bag ready, itinerary arranged. The Society of Psychical Research noted no unusual anxiety, no overt reason to hesitate. This is another ordinary journey that the subject had taken many times before. Details of the first event. While walking through her home, the woman became aware of something in the room. She sensed it, a presence. She turned and saw someone standing in her parlor. Details of the apparition. She later describes the figure clearly. A loved one, long since deceased, recognizable immediately. Important details. No ambiguity. A feeling of love emanating from the spirit. Someone she trusted. She feels no fear. Details of the communication. The phantom is transfixed, statue-like, on a crucial mission, to deliver a single message.
On this very day you shall not travel. You have been warned.
The phantom offered no clarification. It did not elaborate. The phantom seemed almost apathetic and detached about the statement. Just the instruction, no ostensible outward emotion. Details of the phantom's disappearance. Then the spirit simply vanished. It did not gradually fade. Presence, message, gone. The entire encounter lasts only seconds, leaving her rather shocked and in awe. Details of the subject's decision. Now the critical point. She is left with a prearranged journey. No discernible danger or external confirmation of a threat. Only the spirit's message. She hesitates. Did she imagine it? But she must make a decision. Finally, she decides. She heeds the supernatural warning. She cancels her journey, opting not to travel. Details of the outcome. Later that same day, on the exact train and route she intended to take, a fatal accident occurs. The details include a serious train accident with multiple injuries and several deaths. It was a fluke. No one foresaw any complications with the train or the tracks. The salient point, the timing, matches her intended journey precisely. Had she taken that trip, she likely would have been injured or worse. Case 2. Patience Worth. The spirit that responded when summoned. Details of the scene. Location, 38 to 17 Kings Highway Boulevard, St. Louis, Missouri. Date, July 8th, 1913. Present, Pearl Curran and Emily Hutchings. The two women sit quietly at a small table in their Victorian parlor. A recent innovation in spirit contact and Ouija board is placed between them. Their hands rest lightly on the planchette. The room is tranquil. Details of the first event. The planchette begins to move, slowly at first. It slides across the board, stopping on individual letters. Emily Hutchings writes them down as they appear. Gradually, the letters form words. Details of the identification. A name is spelled out. The spirit reveals itself.
P-A-T-I-E-N-C-E-W-O-R-T-H. More letters follow. Many moons ago I lived, again I come.
The planchette movement becomes seamless. The responses become faster. Details of the communication. The sessions continue over multiple days. the spirit of Patience Worth returns. Questions are asked quickly, answers come back through the board. At one point, a question is asked about anger.
The response is spelled out. Hold thy temper as thou wouldst hold thy life, for in its breaking thou dost wound thyself first.
Emily records the full sentence in her journal as it forms. Details of the development. The communication continues over time. The Ouija board is eventually set aside. Surprisingly, Pearl begins to speak the spirit's responses aloud. Again, Emily transcribes them into her journal as they are spoken. The language remains consistent in tone and style. Details of the content. The spirit continues to answer questions through Pearl. Statements are given on personal conduct, responsibility, self-control. The phrasing remains structured and deliberate. The spirit of Patience Worth offered more answers to their questions, along with sage advice. First, Patience speaks on control of one's temper. A sharp tongue is the whetstone of sorrow. Speak not in haste, lest thy words outrun thy wisdom. Then she speaks on personal responsibility. What thou plantest, thou shalt harvest. Lay not thy burden upon another, for it is thine own making and thine own trial. Fittingly, Patience gives her views on patience as a virtue. Time is the proving ground of all things. Haste buildeth a crooked path. Patience thoughts on inner discipline. Master thyself, and thou shalt not be mastered. And finally, she offers her wisdom on the subject of honesty. Truth needeth no adornment. Details of the outcome. The sessions continue over a period of years. Large volumes of material are recorded. The communication becomes the central focus of the sittings. Details of the significance of this case. Writings transform into voice. Questions are answered. Sage advice is offered, and the communication continues. In the following case, the communication does not interrupt a moment. It remains, returning again and again, shaping the conversation over time. Case 3, the Scole Experiment, location, Norfolk, England. Period, 1993 to 1998. Instructions given in the dark. Present at the experiment were members of the Scole Group and visiting investigators, including Montague Keane, Professor David Fontana, Robin and Sandra Foy, and mediums Alan and Diana Bennett. The Scole Experiment was a 5-year scientific investigation into the afterlife and physical mediumship. It was an attempt to replicate the 19th century spiritualism movement. However, instead of only utilizing séances, scientific methods were included. The group gathered in the cellar of a 17th century farmhouse. Before each session, all windows and doors were closed and all sources of light were eliminated. Participants sit close together around a table. Details of the first event. The initial session begins in silence. After a period of waiting, small points of intelligent light appear in the room, also known as spirit orbs. The orbs move slowly through the darkness, often touching the participants. Some hover near the ceiling. Details of escalation. Additional activity follows. Tapping sounds, audible movements were noticed around the table, and some brief flashes of brighter light. The atmosphere in the room changed. Details of the communication. In a later session, an entity's voice is heard in the room, clear and distinct. The words are short. Fear closes the door. Calm opens it. We are the spirit team. We are working from a multi-dimensional control center. We will prove that the veil between our worlds is thin and communication can be enhanced through technology. The technology includes the Germanimum bridge, which the entities explained in detail to the participants how to build. The device was a trans-dimensional communication apparatus. In essence, a crude, powerless radio that actually shouldn't have worked. Yet it worked quite well. The device broadcasted the voices of the entities with a metallic or robotic sound. Details of the continuation. The activity in the room continues, spirit orbs moving, sounds occurring, objects shifting. The group maintains composure. The session proceeds without interruption. Telepathically and audibly speaking to the mediums, the spirits describe human existence as pure consciousness, explaining that spiritual light is our true origin and final destination. The spirits produce non-photographic images on factory-sealed film of poems and complex hieroglyphs, which the entities called thoughtographed. The spirits also generated genuine physical historical items, like a 1944 edition of the Daily Mail newspaper, a Churchill crown coin, jewellery in the form of lockets, gold rings and other items, which materialised out of thin air. Yet more voices were recorded that did not originate from the medium's vocal cords, often speaking from different parts of the room simultaneously. Small spirit orbs performed complex manoeuvres and responded to requests from researchers and would pass through solid objects like wooden tables. The experiments are often cited as being among the most rigorously documented evidence for survival after death ever archived. Sessions continue over multiple years. Investigators return for further sittings. Observations are logged. The communication remains part of the ongoing experience. Towards the latter parts of the experiment, the spirits issued warnings about interdimensional interference from hostile beings from the future. The spirits advised that for now, the sessions be ended. As such, the experiment abruptly disbanded in 1998. Details of why we matter to the spirits. It seems counterintuitive that these unknown pure beings of light and energy living in an atmosphere of absolute love would want or need to concern themselves with us. Perhaps it is because they have evolved into that pure state that causes them to want to assist us. In this case, it is quite telling and interesting that the spirits are also conducting communication experiments with those of us whose souls are still wrapped within our physical bodies. For we have been attempting to contact them for eons. In this case, the instruction arrives within the moment itself, and the moment changes as it is received. Case 4. The Enfield Poltergeist, London, 1977. The voice in the room. Setting the scene. Location, 284 Green Street, Enfield, North London. Start, August 1977. Present, Peggy Hodgson and her children, including Janet, age 11, and Margaret, age 13. The family is inside the house during the evening. The children are in their bedroom. The room contains 2 single beds, a chest of drawers, and scattered toys. The house is quiet. Details of the first event. A sound begins. A strange knocking. It comes from inside the wall near the bed. The children call for their mother. Peggy enters the room. The knocking continues defiantly. Details of escalation. The chest of drawers moves. It slides across the floor of its own volition. Peggy attempts to push it back. The movement resists her effort. The object shifts again. Details of continuation. Over the following days, objects are violently thrown, chairs quickly move, unfamiliar sounds travel through the house. Visitors arrive. Neighbours witness activity. Police are called. One officer later reports seeing a chair move without impetus. Details of the phantom's voice. During one evening, Janet sits on her bed. Her body becomes still. A sound emerges. A voice. Low, rough, distinct from her normal childlike speech. The unknown voice speaks through her. Details of the communication.
My name is Bill Wilkins. I used to live in this very house. I died in a chair downstairs. I'm in control now. She's mine.
Investigators checked these claims. A man named Bill Wilkins did indeed live and die there. Details of the presence in the room. Investigators sit near to Janet. They closely observe her facial countenance. The voice continues to speak. At times, her mouth barely opens. The sound remains gruff but clear. Questions are asked. The voice answers,
I'm in charge. You can't stop me. She's mine.
Details of the continuation. The spirit's voice returns during multiple sessions. It was gruff, low, aggressive, often mocking and vulgar. Bill frequently repeats some statements. The presence is described as remaining in the house, unwilling to leave. Violent poltergeist activity continues around it. Details of the outcome. The disturbances continue over an extended period. The family stubbornly remains in the house. Investigators document the events. Recordings are made. The case gains international attention. Details of the implications. A spirit's voice forms in a little English girl. It speaks, it interacts, it answers questions, and it remains present within the environment. In this troublesome case, the spirit communication does not offer guidance. It obstinately occupies the home it once owned in a previous life and continues to speak within it. It claims possession of the child, Janet. The voice-possessed child, Janet, was recently interviewed. Now an adult, Janet is confused about why the spirit chose her to speak through. She isn't bitter, but she does feel forever marked and feels like a pariah because of her connection to the rare paranormal events. Case 5. The Philip Experiment. The presence that we created. Location: Toronto, Canada, year 1972. Present, a small research group led by Dr. A.R.G. Owen, including Iris Owen, Margaret Sparrow, Lorne, and 2 transmediums, Diana and Alan Bennett. The group gathers around a table in a dimly lit room. They meet regularly. The setting is controlled and consistent. They were seeking to revive the Victorian practice of séances, but in a scientific manner. No Ouija board is used at first. They sit with hands resting lightly on the table surface. Details of the preparation. Before any session begins, the group creates and defines a fictitious character. They give him a name, Philip. They write his life in detail. A 17th century English nobleman, married, involved in a secret relationship, connected to a woman accused of witchcraft. The entire identity is agreed upon by the group. Details of the first sessions. The group begins by asking questions aloud. No movement occurs, no sound follows, nothing happens. This continues over multiple sessions. Details of the change. Then finally, things advance. The atmosphere alters. The group's focus tightens. They begin concentrating. They speak to Philip as if he is present. Details of the first response. A knock is heard from the table. The group pauses. They ask, "Philip, are you here?" A single knock follows. Establishing communication. The group sets a system. 1 knock for yes, 2 knocks for no. Questions are asked. Responses follow immediately. The timing becomes consistent. Details of escalation. The table begins to move. It tilts upward on one side. It shifts across the floor. The movement corresponds to questions. Participants keep their hands on the table. The interaction. The group asks about Philip's life. The answers match the character they created, virtually verbatim. Details align with their dictated story. Questions outside that storyline rarely receive a response. When the issue is pushed, powerful, angry knocking sounds are heard, objects are thrown, or the table is thrown across the room. Is Philip angry? It seems the created spirit of Philip actually did respond about details outside the parameters set by the group. The entity appears to have become enraged. Delving into the unknown with an unidentified entity could be detrimental. Details of the continuance. Sessions continue over time. The responses remain consistent. Impossible cold breezes are felt in a closed windowless room. The interaction becomes routine, unless they stray from the planned storyline. Details of the outcome. The experiment concludes. The group documents the results. The case is presented publicly. The events are recorded as observed. Details of why this case matters. A character is defined, questions are asked, responses are given. But one must ask, since this entity was literally fictitious, how could it possibly have responded to their questions? Was the energy from those who created the Philip character being harnessed somehow? If so, then who or what was utilizing that energy? In this odd case, the created presence forms within the room and responds within the limits that were given to it, unless those prescribed limits are exceeded. The questions are seemingly endless as to how this creation was accomplished. We truly hope you enjoyed these paranormal cases. We should indeed heed the harbingers of fate that are revealed to us. A portent that is obeyed may preserve your freedom or your very life. Thank you for visiting Detailed Paranormal. Be sure to like, subscribe, and return for more paranormal details.